Xbob here with XCOM, Enemy Unknown by Firaxis. For those that don't know, the original XCOM is an older title, a first-person shooter released in 2001. It was met with intense critical acclaim for revolutionizing how console shooters played with the controller. Okay, so I never played the original XCOM. Came out in '93 before I even had a PC. I heard it's pretty good, but we're not talking about that today. So to save me some precious days of research time, let's pretend like it never existed. First up in the options is the audio menu. Again, basic stuff, and you can turn soldier speech on and off, which might get handy because hearing your soldiers panic will probably make you want to rip your eyes out eventually. In the gameplay tab, we have show action cam, enable third person cam, enable autosave, and show enemy health. The first two options are dynamic camera views for critical shots, and a roadie run style camera for when your character is dashing, which we'll get into later. Here we've got rewindable keys, though there's not many of them, subtitles which are useful as always, and edge scrolling speed, as this is a strategy title. Standard settings here: full screen mode, locking mouse to window for windowed mode, or multi-monitor use, resolution, gamma, VSync, and framerate smoothing. Graphics is also pretty standard with a set of visual effects, including anti-aliasing, all very functional, very basic. And without further ado, let's start the game. A real man plays on the hardest difficulty setting at all times. Impossible? Hardly. Upon starting a new game, you're asked where you'd like your base location to be. There's America, and then there's all kinds of fictional Americas. Europe? Asia? Where do they come up with this stuff? Each mission begins with a nicely produced loading screen explaining the mission type and showing off the 4 to 6 crew members you've decided to slaughter.
Local broadcast indicating alien activity within a major metropolitan area. We should get down there and eliminate any hostiles.
It's a good thing you can skip this landing sequence because you're going to be seeing it an awful lot. I'm gonna let the first few minutes of this mission play out without editing so you can get an idea of what the game plays like. I'll explain what I'm doing along the way, and then we'll get into the meat of this video. I start off by moving our most hapless recruit, Lemons, to cover and setting him to Overwatch mode. The half-filled shield by his name means I only get a half cover bonus because of the height of the cover I'm behind. Cover makes it harder for enemies to hit you, obviously. Overwatch is an ability every soldier has that basically sets them on high alert. Any enemies that run into their line of sight will cause them to take a reaction shot, even if it's not your turn. This is an incredibly useful tool for both scaring enemies into moving less and also getting some early damage in, possibly even killing them. Your aim is slightly reduced, but I find leapfrogging units from cover to cover with Overwatch soldiers, keeping an eye on them, to be a fairly sound strategy, at least early on. And here we see our first aliens, very first enemies you spot in the game on the very first mission. Let's see if we can't destroy them. Lemons takes a reaction shot and misses. What do you expect from a guy named Lemons? Now we see me trying to puzzle out where I should move to. You always want to be in cover unless you're absolutely sure you don't need it, which isn't very often. At the same time, there's another aspect of the game that is critical to understanding why it can be so hard. Let's watch.
Enemy in sight.
And there we are. So here's the deal. In XCOM, there's always more enemies. Always. No matter what you think you see, or how many you've killed, or how much of the map you have covered, there are always more enemies. Moving from cover to cover and maneuvering in general becomes a terrifying prospect when moving just one square too far could reveal and alert an entirely new group of enemies. Or several groups. It gets bad. Oh, it's the enemy's turn. Let's see where they move and if they use similar strategies to me. That's their telepathy, which increases and recovers health for the target on the receiving end, as well as possibly increasing their accuracy. At least it feels like it increases their accuracy. Oh, and there's one thing about telepathy that I really love. I'll show you it later. So, you may have noticed my chance to hit with these attacks. You may have also noticed it's very low. XCOM is very much a dice-based game. The success of most actions is determined with percentages. This is where my main problem with the impossible difficulty comes in. It appears that all they've done is increase the number of hits enemies can take, increase their accuracy and damage, and did the exact opposite for you. Shots almost never have a decent chance of landing. It takes a minimum of 2 shots to kill the first enemies in the game, and enemies seem to get criticals from across the map on every other shot. I was hoping for greatly enhanced AI that would outsmart me, not bogus skewed dice rolls. You've also got access to grenades and rockets, but as you'll learn here in a moment, the science team back at home base isn't too excited about you blowing up the aliens and leaving them with little to study, but they're so fun to use and they're not reliant on dice rolls. Now, I'm no master of turn-based strategy or tactics games, that much should be clear. But I did this mission 5 or 6 times, earned the position of every group of enemies, and it never got any less ridiculous. Anytime one of my men died, at least one of the others would panic, usually 2 of them. Panic essentially means you lose the turn on that character in the best case scenario, and that they'll start killing teammates in the worst case scenario. Chance to panic is determined by will, one of the few stats each soldier has. A friendly dying is a huge blow to will. If you've played the Total War games, it's kind of like morale, but more sadistic. Essentially, once a teammate panics, the AI selects a move for them. They can shoot at an enemy or a friendly at random. They can very easily kill teammates like this, hunker down in fear, or run out in the open like an idiot. Earth's most elite defense force can't handle the sight of a single teammate dying. Man, wasn't your favorite part in Saving Private Ryan how every time a soldier died, another one completely fell apart and started shooting at his friends 2 feet away from him? As you might imagine, my first mission didn't go very well. Dead. And dead. Great job, guys. Back it up. Let's go home. We'll get some milkshakes. Hey, guess what? Rounds 2 through 7 didn't go too well either. No, that seems legit. No, that's exactly the result I was expecting from that shot. Car's blowing up for no reason. At least something makes sense here. 56% at that range? Yeah, that's completely reasonable. Highly trained professional, yeah. Yeah, bust the door open, whatever. You hit it? You hit it and something died? Something died? Hey, maybe my luck is turning around. Maybe it's not all dice rolls, and if it is, sometimes it's just Yahtzee. I'm done. Done. No, that's it. No, I'm done. Check back later when I get into the base building stuff and get into a real difficulty. This one's dumb. There's a lot more to this game. Don't get me wrong, it's fantastic. You should pick it up. Quit dying, you're ruining my review!